2 million acres, 2 million acres plus. Is it possible? Yes. Now, just to give you, why 2 million? Georgia has 37 million acres of land mass. Of that, 24.3 million is forested. Of that, 21.6 million is commercially viable pine timber. So you've heard about return intervals. Think about 21 million, or 21 million acres of forested acres on a 3-year rotation. We should be burning about 6 million acres a year almost. We're burning 1.5 million. We're far behind what we should be doing in Georgia. So, there's a lot more room for growth. There's a lot more land that we can be burning. But you also heard from Jim about these new potential restrictions or impedances towards burning. So we have to manage that to be able to increase burning. We can do it. So where are we at? Where have we been? Where are we going? As Johnny said earlier, this was one of the best years we've had in the last 30 years. We're in 6th place, 1.55 million acres. The most we've ever done is 1.7 million. That's as far back as I can see in the records that the most we've done in burning. So we are increasing. That's good. I applaud every one of you out there that's burning. It's great, but we can do more. You can kind of see the trends there, up and down. Of course, COVID years went down. We had several years of really dry weather. Then we turned off really wet. And then the last couple of years, we've had some really wet, and then this year's really good. But when you start talking about that burning and you start looking at when is that burning, 5-year average is 1.2, so you see about 300,000 acre increase. Longleaf, this was the best year for longleaf. When you call in, you get a burn permit, and they ask you, do you have any longleaf acres out there that you're burning? Please let them know, because we're tracking that, because we're really encouraging longleaf growth, and we need to see, we all know the longleaf needs to burn, but how much are we burning? We're planting X, but we're only burning Y. Let's get closer to burning that X up there, but a great year for longleaf. All right, this is 1 day's worth of burning. 1 day. Look at all of those red dots. That wasn't even our busiest day this past year. This was 37,000 acres, 967 permits. Our busiest day was 167,000 acres. This is the week, 167. The single day was 48,000. So if what you're seeing is 37,000 acres, add another 10,000 acres to that. That was 1 day. We've got to try to manage that smoke to be able to increase burning, lessen the impacts on those population centers for public health reasons. It can be done, but we have to start managing. We have to start looking. How can we continue to burn this much, increase this much, but yet protect? We have to start looking at some other options, some other things. Instead of trying to all burn in 1 week, we need to start spreading it out. This is a 2-week period of burning across the southeast. This is just satellite detected burns. This isn't even all of the burns. These are just the ones that satellite picked up. So we can do more. You've seen some of these graphs from Jim. We've got to try to, look at and do better management of when we're burning, what days we're picking to burn, so that we can protect the population centers, public health, because we are the minority. When you think about it, I only have 3,700 individuals on the books that are certified burners. How many millions of people are in Georgia? So we're the minority affecting the majority when we burn. So we have to be good stewards of our burning practices. So one thing that we did, I guess probably this would be 3rd year, is the pilot project in Albany. And you can see the outline of what we did. And in those counties, we took and we said, where were those exceptional events? And we said, all right, here it was. What weather factor really played into that? And so I looked at the data, and it was transport winds. You saw the graph from what Shan showed. So we applied that, and basically it was 8 or 9. If you were in this area, burn is normal. If it was 6 or 7, you were reduced to 200 acres, and you couldn't burn. You need to be completed with your firing operations by 2 p.m. If it was 5 or less, there was no burning at all. Well, we started looking at that, and yes, it reduced the days that were exceptional events. But what it didn't do is that 3-year average, that annual average, it really did not reduce that. So we did good about those worst days, but not the number. So what we've done, so yes and no, it didn't work. Can we improve? Yes. So what we've done is come up with Albany 2.0. And working with Pinelands Plantation and Tall Timbers, we looked at some data, we looked at some research, and we've started to expand this. So now, instead of just blanket area, we're going to look at what is upwind of, or the population center that's downwind of your burn. So what we're doing is we're freeing up everything that's in that pie downwind, and we're restricting what's upwind of those population centers. So we're trying to use the science behind what's going on and looking at it a little bit harder. So basically what this is your population center. Any of you ever remember the old smoke plotters that you threw on a map? It's basically what we're looking at right here. We're just doing it inverse of the burn is 60 degrees, looking downrange, wind direction. So anything that is upwind of that population center, we're going to start looking at restrictions. So this is going to be pulled at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. It's when it's going to be based upon. And all right, so I'm going to try to quickly go through this. So are you inside the cone? So if you're inside that cone area and the transport winds are 5 or less, and see, this is where we've added using some of the science and some of the data that was provided by Tall Timbers and Pineland. If the PM is greater than 27 at midnight, because what we found is, again, Jim said, it's not necessarily the burn from today, it's the burn yesterday that's carrying over into today. So if it's already high, it'll start to slow down, lower, lower, lower. Then all of a sudden we have another big day of burning. All of a sudden it's going to peak. We're already starting out high. So we're looking at multiple factors and making that decision. So if it's 27 or greater or dispersion is less, there's no silviculture or land clearing burning allowed inside that. But outside that V, if you're on the other side, we're going to let you burn, but it's going to be 20 acres or less for the 5 mile an hour. So going back to inside the V, if it's 6 or 8 and dispersion is 21 to 39, we're going to max at 25 acres completed by 2 p.m. So inside that V is going to be more restrictive. Outside the V is going to be more freedom to burn. So what we've done is basically we've tried to, the areas that are going to, or the burns that are going to affect those population centers the most are going to be more restricted. Those that are outside, we're allowing them to burn more. So what's going to affect, if you are used to the program that we've had in the past, if that affected you, you're actually, if you're outside, you're going to be able to burn more. But on those days where you're inside that V, it's going to be more restrictive. We feel like this is going to really improve the air quality inside those population centers because, again, we're the minority affecting the majority. So please work with us as we go through this. The burn restrictions, you saw Jim do this. I talked about if we're going to increase burning, if we're going to get to that 2 million plus, we have to look at every option. And one thing is a lot of people see this and they say burn restrictions. Oh, I can't burn in the summertime if you're up in this metro Atlanta. Understand, if you're in those gray areas, you can still burn silviculture. I hear it all the time. Well, I'm up in metro Atlanta. I can't burn. And then you start looking at them where on the map and go, yeah, you can burn silviculture. There's nothing in the rules that says you can't. Now, if you're in those 13 county in the center, yeah, you're restricted. But outside of that, you can still burn. We have to start looking at expanding our burn window. We cannot continue to have 160, 170,000 acres burnt in a week and not cause problems. We've got to start looking at ways to expand our burn window. So we're talking about expanding the burn window. Change our thinking around prescribed fire. Oh man, I'm always off. The kids are off on spring break this time. I always burn this time of the year. Well, so does everybody else. Laws causes a lot of problems. We're going to have to get away from our comfort zone. We're going to have to, it's real easy to burn in that wintertime. Everything's dead. I can get out there, lower humidities, the fine fuel moistures are usually lower. I need to, look at that summertime burning, that springtime burning, that late season burns. Prescribed fire season is year round. It's not defined by portion of the year. And Mark, and I know he's in here, every day is a burn day till proven not. Every day, somewhere I can burn until you prove me wrong. And that's the way we need to think about it. Johnny told you, we're looking at a very dry spring. Don't waste a day that you can get a burn in waiting on that perfect day. So requirements for growing season. I always want to see a burn history on it. Wintertime burns. I want to get that. I want to be on lighter fuels. Thinned or open canopy, because if I'm burning late in the season, I've got a lot of heat. I need that heat to escape. So I'm wanting a thin canopy. 70 acres or less. Well, I can burn 100 acres. I can burn 200 acres. Yeah, you might, but what are we dealing with that time of year? The heat. Well, it's not just it's not the timber that you also have to worry about. You have to worry about your personnel. So if I can burn 70, maybe 100 acres, and I can be done by 12, 1 o'clock before the heat of the day, I'm saving my people, and I'm also keeping some of that heat off of my timber. Burn before or a front, or take advantage of winds. If you're doing summertime burns, you have to have winds. You got green fuels, it's going to have something to push it, because the fuels are not going to be really the carrier of it. You're going to have those winds. So start thinking about these things. It's a little bit different than burning in wintertime. Finish all burning operations by noon, or flames between, right around that 12 o'clock. Again, trying to save my personnel as much as the timber, because I'm wanting that fire to be done. So smaller blocks, you'll have to think about that. If you're used to burning those, 150, 200, 300 acre blocks, if I've got fine fuels, I might be able to get through it. If I've got grasses and stuff, I might be able to get through a stand fairly quickly. But most litter, shrub type stands, you're going to want smaller blocks than you would normally during the wintertime. So just think about changing what your mindset around burning when it comes to burning in the summer. So, but why? Well, what are some advantages of it? Well, how many of you battle sweet gum or other invasives? Well, you know what? Summertime, spring burn, late season, late April, May, June, you're going to get a better hardwood control of those species, than burning in wintertime. You always hear about wintertime burning, I can kill them. Yeah, I can kill them. But look at this. When you burn in the dormant season, you actually stimulate more sprouting. Summertime burning, frequent can reduce hardwood sprouts. So if you're burning all the time in the wintertime, them hardwoods, they just keep coming back. They keep coming back. They keep coming back. Well, if you're burning in the wintertime, you're just kind of stimulating them. Change up your burn routine, burn some in that summertime, and try to work on getting those reduced numbers. So wildlife. You know what? Sometimes summertime burns can be pretty patchy because of the green fuel moistures. There's nothing wrong with a patchy burn, especially if you're burning for wildlife. Early growing seasons can stimulate seed production, browse quality. You know what? Springtime, a lot of a new wildlife birth. A lot of that new wildlife needs young, tender growth. Well, if it's up here, they can't reach it. But if I've killed it and it's young and tender and it's on the ground, they can reach it now. So again, one of those benefits of burning that late season. May versus February burns favor quail and turkey populations. Wait a minute, they're nesting. Well, what do a lot of those they need for growth? Insects. What attracts insects? A lot of young growth green grass. So if I burn in February, March, and it sprouts in April, March, April, well, by the time they're really out bugging, it's already starting to harden off. But if I burn in April, May, and it comes up in late May, June, now they're bugging with young growth, young tender growth, bringing in those insects. So there are some advantages of burning late in the season. Herbaceous plant response, flying insects are favored, growing season burns, avoid the nesting season for target species. If there's low numbers or, we heard a speech last year, one of the individual speakers said, you know what, you're going to affect every species out there, negative or positive. But if you've got something very specific that you want to burn for, now if you're just general wildlife, yes, burn, whenever you can get a burn in late season. But if there's something that you're really targeting, then yes, you may have to avoid a particular time of the year. But in general, late season burning can be very beneficial. Increased fire frequency leads to more diversity, abundance of grasses and forbs. Again, you're going to get more grasses and forbs at late season burn versus the dormant season burns. Flowering response. Again, late season burns favor a lot of those flowering. Bring in the insects. Expanding your burn window. You've seen everybody talk about the drones. Not many of you landowners are going to be able to afford $90,000, especially when I've seen somebody out there. The first thing they do is they go up, they fly it, and they run it into a tree and crash it. That's not how I want to spend $90,000. But there are a lot of state, federal, and NGOs that are getting the drones, and they are helping private landowners. Now, one thing that the drones do and show us and prove is that if you can get that fire on the ground and get done with that firing operation quicker, the smoke gets up out of there quicker and you have less problems. So you may not be able to go out and spend $90,000 on a drone, but you can look at your burn routine, your burn program, and you can think about as soon as you can get out there and you get fire on the ground, as soon as that fuel will hold that fire, you can get out there and get that fire on the ground, and I can get done 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, instead of getting started at 12, 1 o'clock and burning until 4, 5, 6 o'clock. That smoke's going to get out of there. So think about changing your routine up and changing your burn window of when you're burning, because the quicker you can get that firing operation completed, the quicker those fuels are consumed, the quicker the smoke gets out of there. One thing I will say is please don't be burning all the way to sunset. That is where we see a lot of problems. When Jim runs those models, a lot of times you can see, there's not a lot of smoke, at 1, 2 o'clock, then all of a sudden 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, the smoke column builds up. People are burning late in the day. Well, those fuels don't have time to be consumed by the flaming phase, and they sit there and smolder. And then what happens is they cause a smoke problem overnight. So think about changing your burn window. And if you've got $90,000 laying around, that'd be a fun tool. So training and research. Excuse me. There are a lot of resources out there for assistance. There is a lot of training opportunities out there. The West Central Georgia Landowners Association, RT Lumpkin, will have a prescribed fire class in Americus on the 9th and 10th. And then the Savannah River will have one on the 11th and 12th in Statesboro. Both of those, you can go to their websites and find out, or their Facebook page, and find out information for both those classes. I'll have some normal public classes listed for the spring. The one in Waycross is already full. I haven't had one in North Georgia, so I'm probably going to go to Rome or Northwest Georgia or Northeast Georgia this spring, but then I'll be back in the fall for Tifton or Moultrie. So look at those. How many of you are certified? How many of you are a certified burner? That's good to see. If you're not, please look into a class. Certified burners, talk to you just a minute. Tell you there's 3,700 people that have been certified since this program started in the early 90s. Out there on my table is a one-page fact sheet. It's about the early burn permit system. Out of 3,700 people, there is only 265 people that have signed up for the early burn permit system. That system was designed for you. The system was designed so that you wouldn't have to call in. You could go online and get a permit or enter your permit request up to 2 days in advance. And then the day before, our dispatchers will take a look at it, look at the weather, make sure everything's good. If everything's good, they'll hit approve. You'll get an email with your permit number. You're good to go. No need to call in. So I could enter it today to burn on Saturday. Tomorrow morning, our dispatchers would take a look at it. Everything looks good. They're going to hit it. You're going to get approved. You don't have to try to call on Saturday morning. So if you're a certified burner, please stop by the table out there, pick up one of those flyers, request an account, and then start using that to get your burn permit. That's just going to make it easier for you, and it's going to reduce some of the 75,000 phone calls that our dispatchers get a year. So training also, you know, for those of you that aren't certified, maybe don't have the experience, several of these PBAs have field trips. They have learning burns. You know, go out, get your hands on. DNR has some. We've tried to start working with DNR whenever we have a prescribed fire class. I know they've tried to do a learning burn in the area at, you know, a couple of days before, a couple of days after, so that there are landowners that that want more hands-on experience, that maybe, you know, don't get to burn a lot. They can come out and learn with a lot of experienced people. So, you know, take advantage of any training opportunities you can. Burn trailers. A lot of landowners don't have the resources that they need. Well, these burn trailers are around, and I believe it's on the, so Longleaf Alliance has, yeah, Longleaf Alliance on their page has this map that you see on the bottom left corner. It has a map of where all those burn trailers are. They have hand tools on there, drip torches. Some of them have four-wheelers, leaf blowers, chainsaws. I mean, there's a whole gamut. Each one of them set up just a little bit different. But if you need the tools to do burning for a minimal cost, I think some of them are at $100, some $75. Yeah, it's a minimal for what you get in those trailers. It's a minimal cost. So don't let, oh, I don't have the tools, be your reason for not burning. There's opportunities out there. So, all right, Eric.